Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, police are investigating the death of a woman found hanging at a dock. What we know so far this afternoon. And one family is calling for an investigation into the death of an inmate in a Texas county jail. Plus, Amarillo City Council rejected an abortion travel ban following several months of debate.
We had some very nice showers that rolled through the Victoria area. They're all down at the coast right about now, and they are decreasing. Will there be any more tomorrow? Well, we'll talk about that, and we've got to talk about the tropics because they're getting active. We'll have all that coming up in just a few minutes.
Residents in an El Paso neighborhood had to evacuate after a sinkhole opened up. We have what caused that sinkhole next. You're watching 25 News now at 5. Good afternoon and thanks for being with us. I'm Karina Garcia. Victoria police arrested a 39-year-old woman this morning. Desiree Montez is charged with unlawful possession of a firearm by a felon, tampering with physical evidence with intent to impair, and harboring a runaway child. She is in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of a $62,000 bond. And Victoria County deputies arrested a man from Mexico Tuesday. That is 37-year-old Findicio Reyes Adam. He is charged with evading arrest, a vehicle, attempting to take a weapon from an officer, and resisting arrest. He remains in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of a $65,000 bond. And over in Jackson County, deputies and U.S. Homeland Security arrested two men in Ganado. That's 41-year-old Jeremy Acuna from Ganado and 34-year-old Isaac Morales from Lolita, facing federal charges of conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute a controlled substance. Acuna also faces a federal charge of a felon in possession of a firearm. Both men are in federal custody at the Victoria County Jail. And Lavaca County deputies arrested a 48-year-old man Tuesday. His name is Jonathan Torres. He is charged with aggravated assault of a family member with a weapon. He is in the Lavaca County Jail in lieu of a $50,000 bond. And Calhoun County deputies arrested a teenager Monday. That's 18-year-old Diego Tamez. He is charged with aggravated assault with a discharged firearm and evading arrest with a vehicle. He remains in the Calhoun County Jail in lieu of a $160,000 bond. Port Lavaca police arrested this man Monday. That's 20-year-old Zachary Jackson. He is charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and theft of a firearm. He is in the Calhoun County Jail in lieu of a $110,000 bond. And now let's take a look at your forecast with Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez. Mac, I got a little bit drizzled on out there, and that humidity is killing me.
Well, yeah, the humidity is going to be bad, but the rain was really good. I thought you were going to say you got drenched, but some people got drenched. The activity began in Central Texas last night, rolled down through the crossroads. It's already down along the coast, just about the Seadrift area and down in Ostwell. But that is going to be, shall we say, the biggest stuff. Tomorrow it's much less rain chance, but the tropics are getting rather busy, and we'll be talking about that coming up in just a moment.
Mac, thank you. Police on Texas Gulf Coast are investigating a bizarre case of a 30-year-old mother found hanging at a marina. They have now suspected foul play in her death. Giselle Salazar was found hanging by a rope from the dock by her boyfriend, James Hart. He tells police she left the boat early in the morning to go to the bathroom but never came back. On May 31st, a neighbor found the woman's body partially submerged in water. So far, police have went through nearly 2,000 video clips for clues. The medical examiner's office has not yet confirmed a cause of death, and as of now, no charges have been filed. More tonight on that at 6. Now, a family is speaking out after their loved one's death inside a county jail was ruled as a homicide. Following the medical examiner's report, the family is now asking for an investigation by the Department of Justice.
I'm happy that everyone can finally see that it was a homicide. My brother was murdered.
The family of Anthony Johnson says they are relieved and angry after the Tarrant County medical examiner confirmed someone else took their loved one's life while he was held in the Tarrant County jail.
I not only got to birth my son, but I also got to see him die.
On Friday, the medical examiner reported Johnson died from mechanical and chemical asphyxia. Investigators saying the use of pepper spray and methamphetamine were both contributors.
And there have been people who have said that one of the jailers actually took the pepper spray and sprayed it in Anthony's mouth.
A portion of the video was released by the jail. Tarrant County investigators say employee Rafael Moreno put a knee into Johnson's back, which is against department policy. Moreno and his supervisor, Lieutenant Joel Garcia, were both fired, then reinstated. The family now wanting to see the full video released to the public.
I don't know why it still hasn't been released.
Garcia's attorney, Randall Moore, sent a statement in part. He is saddened by the outcome and is also saddened by the fact there were about 20 more people involved. For unknown reasons, only 2 were singled out by the sheriff. The family attorney, Daryl Washington, says indictments could be filed against Moreno and Garcia by the end of the month.
Parents are not supposed to bury their children.
Local and state leaders are joining the family's call for the DOJ to take over this investigation. Amarillo City Council rejected an abortion travel ban Tuesday. In a 4-1 vote, the City Council voted to reject the amended petition ordinance on the Sanctuary City of the Unborn initiative. The council also voted to reject the original petition ordinance. The decision makes Amarillo the largest conservative city to reject the proposed policy, which would forbid the use of the city's roads and highways to seek an abortion out of state. Now a group of residents who petitioned for the ordinance will decide if the issue goes to voters this fall.
There is a role for council to do something if it is clean and clear cut and dry. This one is not. And so I hate to see this go to the ballot because of the strain that it's going to put on the community, but we don't have another choice. It's not up to us. Petition committee can take it forward to the ballot, and that is the procedure that we've all agreed to.
This issue was first debated last fall when several other cities and counties passed similar laws that abortion rights activists and legal experts considered unconstitutional. Amarillo residents, backed by an anti-abortion activist, forced the council to revisit the issue this year after getting enough petition signatures of registered voters. 20 people are still waiting to return home after a sinkhole opened in central El Paso in a neighborhood there as a water main break. Fire crews said this happened around 11 p.m. Tuesday night. Cars have fallen into the sinkhole as a result of the water main break. Multiple agencies are on the scene providing evacuation services in that neighborhood, and city leaders say repairs are on the way as reports are still coming in. A federal judge temporarily blocked the Biden administration from enforcing a rule requiring background checks for online and gun show firearm sales in 4 states, including right here in Texas. This comes after the states sued the Biden administration over the rule that took effect in May. They claim the administration overstepped its authority and that the rule violated the Second Amendment. In his ruling, the judge says the Biden administration violated federal rulemaking procedures when it finalized this new rule earlier this year. The injunction will last until the lawsuit is resolved. So here is your viewer poll. You can scan that QR code right there on your screen to vote. The question is, what is your primary concern regarding the enforcement of gun control laws? Is it public safety, Second Amendment rights, or government overreach? We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And of course, we're going to have an update on 25 News Now at 6. Now to the latest in the war between Israel and Hamas. There's still no ceasefire deal. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken says Hamas wants numerous changes to the current proposal endorsed by the United Nations Security Council. He also says Hamas cannot and will not be able to decide the future for the people of Gaza.
Secretary of State Anthony Blinken says Hamas wants to make a number of changes to the current ceasefire proposal.
Hamas could have answered with a single word: yes. Instead, Hamas waited nearly 2 weeks and then proposed more changes, a number of which go beyond positions that it previously taken and accepted.
Blinken in Qatar today, the latest stop in his Middle East trip, meeting with leaders, including Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday. Blinken says they are working to bridge the gaps in Hamas's new demands.
You have to question whether they're proceeding in good faith or not.
Early this morning, an unprecedented escalation at Israel's border with Lebanon. The IDF says more than 160 rockets were fired by Hezbollah in Lebanon in a 2-hour window. Hezbollah says it's in response to the killing of one of their top commanders by Israeli forces. Today in the West Bank, A funeral procession for 3 Palestinian militants killed during an IDF raid yesterday. Israeli forces say 4 of the 6 killed were armed militants, and there was an exchange of gunfire. In Gaza, as this family searches for water, the Hamas-run health ministry says more than 37,000 people have been killed since the war started. Blinken stressing the need for a ceasefire deal.
The longer this goes on, the more people will suffer. And it's time for the haggling to stop and a ceasefire to start.
Blinken says with no deal in place, the war Hamas started back on October 7th will go on. He says he is urgently pushing to close this deal. Perry Russum, ABC News, Washington.
Here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca Wave. Calhoun County EMS is warning residents on the dangers of heat stroke as temperatures rise this summer. And one Port O'Connor gardener with the Port O'Connor Community Garden Club is giving advice for anyone who wants to start a garden this summer. Plus, 4 winners were crowned in the 43rd yearly Sea Drift Shrimp Fest pageant. You can read these stories and more at theportlavacawave.com. Victoria ISD is holding a special called board meeting next Tuesday afternoon at 3:30. Board members will discuss and take action to select a superintendent search firm. The meeting is at the administration building located at 102 Profit Drive. Now remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click that notification bell. For now, stay with us. Police in Hattiesburg are investigating the fatal shooting of a football player at the University of Southern Mississippi. Straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5. Also ahead, a city in Florida last night set an all-time record for the most rainfall in 1 hour. A shooting investigation is underway after the death of a football player from the University of Southern Mississippi. The shooting happened late Tuesday night at the Ivy Row housing complex on Ivy Row Circle in Hattiesburg. The Forest County coroner identified the victim as 21-year-old Marcus Daniels Jr. from George County. Daniels' body was sent to the medical examiner for an autopsy, and no further details on the shooting has been released. Daniels previously played at Ole Miss before transferring to USM. A man is in custody after a deadly commuter bus hijacking and police chase through Atlanta on Tuesday. Here is video of that police chase. Atlanta police responded to shots fired call on the bus during rush hour. The bus hit several vehicles during the pursuit, including a patrol vehicle. When the bus finally came to a stop, a man was taken into custody. Inside the bus, police found an adult victim with a gunshot wound. They were taken to a nearby hospital where they later died from their injuries. Now here is that suspect arrested. That's 39-year-old Joseph Greer. He is a convicted felon and is accused of shooting and killing a passenger on the bus after an argument. Police say the passenger pulled a gun on him, but the man was able to get it and then he shot that passenger. He then reportedly held the driver at gunpoint, forcing him to speed off. This man was taken into custody without incident, and police say no one else was hurt during this incident. The American Migraine Foundation estimated that at least 39 million Americans live with a migraine, and experts say summer weather can trigger these attacks.
High temperatures, changes in barometric pressure, intense sunlight, all can trigger symptoms for those with migraine disorder.
We absolutely know that there is a correlation. We don't always fully understand why.
Symptoms vary from person to person, but can include unbearable head pain, nausea, vomiting, sensitivity to light, noise, and or smells. An attack can last from 4 hours to several days and can be triggered this time of year, says neurologist Dr. Rashmi Halker Singh with Mayo Clinic.
I think with changes in sunlight and the length of days, it can sometimes take people out of their normal routine and schedule. And people who live with migraine actually do much better with a typical routine.
To manage and potentially prevent an attack, Halker Singh says to remember the word SEEDS. The S stands for sleep. Sticking to a regular sleep schedule can help. E is for eating. Don't skip meals and make sure you stay hydrated while limiting caffeine. The next E is for exercise. Stay physically active. D is for diary. Keep track of what triggers an attack. And finally, the second S stands for stress management. Stress can be a trigger.
Sunglasses can make a big difference when we're thinking about being exposed to bright lights and that sunlight. All of that can really help.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Here's a look at the top headlines you can find in the Queer Record. DeWitt County adopts a burn ban. Fireworks are still permitted. Plus, St. Michael's Catholic School begins a new chapter with their new principal. Read these stories and more at DeWittCountyToday.com. Sarasota set a new record last night for the most precipitation in 1 hour. The National Weather Service says between 7 and 8 p.m., the city saw 3.93 inches of rain. Throughout the whole day, the city saw almost a month's worth of rainfall, and more heavy rain is possible for the region later this week. This weather system still has a 20% chance of becoming the first tropical depression of this year's hurricane season. But let's toss it over to our chief meteorologist, Mac Bettis, the expert.
Thank you very much. Well, we expected that tremendous rainfall, and another number you can use is 8 inches of rain in 3.5 hours. That's amazing. Anyway, folks, it's 83 for us. We had that nice little rain that came through the area. It's pretty much over with for right now. We got up to 95 right about 1 o'clock before the clouds rolled in. Our average high is 92. We've been as warm as 101. There's the stuff headed down to the Gulf, clearing out for us. But tomorrow's, shall we say, the last chance for any of this. And then we have to watch the tropics. We'll be talking about that coming up in just a moment. In addition, we got 29 hundredths of an inch of rain officially out at the airport. I'm sure you're saying, wait a minute, I got more than that in my shoes, but it's quite possible. Now, our season total since January all the way to now is 19.92, and that's 2.5 inches above our average rainfall. So that's good. We're above our average rainfall. Now, here's the city. You can see how the thunderstorms came right through the area and all the way down at Seadrift right about now in Calhoun County and probably down in Refugio County as well. All this activity will be sort of moving offshore and then saying goodbye. Now tomorrow we're going to have much smaller chance of getting any additional showers. And the reason for that is the following. The dome is moving, okay? It was down here. Now it's going to move up, center somewhere over West Texas, and that's going to cut off the flow of those storms moving in our direction. So very little chance of getting any more tomorrow. I mean, just one or two possible. But of course, the big story is now what's going on in the tropics. This is the tremendous rainfall that fell on the west side of the state of Florida. They are really under the gun. But let's talk about us. You know, we're more important. No, I'm just kidding. There you see the city, and there you see the heaviest activity, basically from Victoria northbound into DeWitt County, with good possibility of heavy rain in the Yoakum area. So everybody got something, and that's good. Rain is good. We just don't need the thunder and lightning and hail, and so we didn't get any of that. And real heavy totals right down here in the Guadalupe River Valley, headed down into the coast. So here's what we have in future track. That activity will be over tomorrow overnight. We have a few showers there. Generally speaking, though, we should be on the sunny side tomorrow, and very little. We may have a little afternoon sea breeze showers popping up right about there, but not as intense as today, which was a good solid 1-inch rainfall. So let's talk about Florida. They're important, and of course it was the western side of the state that got the tremendous rainfall. 8 inches in about 3 hours. It was just a downpour and overwhelmed all of the storm drains. That is going to continue because you can see that tropical plume, or the atmospheric river, heading all the way up there. So it's not over with just yet. Now let's talk about this thing. This is a tropical wave. It's an area of disturbed weather that possibly may develop a little further. And now the computer models are definitely taking it to the northeast with some increase in intensity. When that is over, that's 4 days from now, 6 days from now, we have a potential development right here in the southern Gulf of Mexico. This one's important to us because this one would be going in that direction. It's very close to land where it's expected to develop. So I'll say the following. It doesn't matter if it's a named storm or not. It's going to bring in a lot of moisture to our area by early next week. So I'm expecting next week to be a rainy week. So let's take a look at the forecast. A sprinkle or two tomorrow, then hot and humid over the weekend, and then by Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we're going to watch the Gulf to see if that tropical moisture will be rolling into our region. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. That's that funny thing with all the spots on it. You take a picture of that with your phone, and you can put Crossroads Today on your cell phone. We'll toss it over to Karina.
Thank you, Matt. Coming up next on 25 News Now 5, we're going to take a look at your stocks. Plus, the Consumer Price Index shows inflation cooled more than what economists were expecting last month. Taking a look at your stocks, the Dow down 35 points, the S&P 500 up 46 points, and the Nasdaq up 265 points. Oil up 60 cents, closing at $78.50 per barrel. New data out today shows inflation cooled more than expected in May. The federal government reports consumer prices rose 3.3% from a year earlier. The report reveals on a month-to-month basis, prices were flat. It's the first time in nearly 2 years that the CPI did not rise on a monthly basis. Falling gas prices are helping slow that inflation. The Federal Reserve announced it will keep its benchmark lending rates at its current levels. Now, 2 Texas men were sentenced to 45 months for conspiracy to violate the International Emergency Economic Powers Act and conspiracy to commit money laundering. You can read this article on our website, crossroadstoday.com. And stay with us. We're going to take one last look at your forecast when we come back. Plus, a graduating senior from Louisiana achieved a perfect attendance record through her entire school year. Plus, here's a look at world news tonight right after 25 News Now at 5.
Tonight, the Hunter Biden conviction. What happens next? Plus, more triple-digit temperatures, record heat on the move, where it's headed. More Americans turn to world news tonight with David Muir, the most-watched newscast on television.
A high school senior from Alexandria, Louisiana graduated with an outstanding perfect attendance record. Riley has had a perfect attendance record from elementary school all the way through high school. That's 14 straight years of perfect attendance. Her class attendance even helped her grades. She maintained a 4.3 grade point average and received her Associate of Arts degree 2 days after graduating high school. She plans to attend the Grambling State University, where she hopes to double major in both dance and education. You know what? I was not always on time to class. I was actually very late all the time to first period.
It's that first class of the day.
It's the first class of the day.
I got to class, but I think I was still in my pajamas, you know.
And senior year, that senioritis kicks in.
Oh, it does.
Do you really want to be there at 7:45 in the morning? Oh.
You know, I never had perfect attendance, but I had pretty good attendance. I thought I never got an award for that. He was almost good. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed the little rain that came through the area. Got about 1/4 to an inch, rather a 1/2 inch to 1 inch in the area. Tomorrow, less chance of getting any showers, and then it's pretty hot and steamy over the weekend. Now, the tropics are getting active, and we've got one in Florida. We may have another one on Monday, Tuesday in the Gulf, so we'll certainly be tracking it for you. It has some potential for bringing us some heavy rain. It's kind of close to land to actually become a named storm. But let's just say I look for a wet week next week.
All right, looks exciting. Thank you, Mac. And thank you for being with us. We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 6. World News Tonight with David Muir is up next.